Hey guys, welcome to the RAD channel, the most rad place to be right now. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about how to get started with writing your own book. Now, I specifically chose this topic because I've talked to many people who often want to write a book, but they don't really know where to start from, or they aren't confident about whether their plot is going to be indulging, whether it'll draw in the people they're trying to get to read, because they just normally just don't have enough confidence in it. So, this video is gonna be full of tips about actually starting off with this venture, because writing a book is a very fun process. Trust me, if as long as you have a little faith in what you're trying to do, it's gonna be a very enjoyable and memorable experience. Now, I'm gonna be doing a series about this, a series of videos which are gonna contain tips on various aspects of writing books. So in this one, I'm just gonna start with a basic overview about it, right? So, all right, let's get started about it. And a heads up, this video is going to be a little long since I'm going to be covering multiple aspects about it. Uh, so yeah, I'm going to be going way over the just a minute motto. But yeah, let's get right to it. So here we have the three primary elements of writing any book: the plot, the characters, and the conclusion. All three of these are very important aspects of your plot and will help in deciding whether the quality of your book is really up to standards and whether people are actually going to want to read it. Let's start off with the plot. Now, if I had to define a plot, it would basically be the main timeline that your entire story occurs in, right? The goals of your characters, what's actually happening, where it starts from, what happens in the middle, where it ends. That's essentially what your plot is. And your plot is a very pivotal role of your story. So there are a few things that you need to keep in mind when coming up with your plot. First, your plot needs to be engaging. If your plot isn't engaging, if it's dull and doesn't really draw people in, if there's no excitement, no rush, no thrill in your plot, if it's just there just to be there, then your book isn't gonna be as top notch as you'd expect it to be, right? Because your plot, as I said before, it's a very pivotal part of your story. And no matter how good your characters are, nobody's going to want to read a book that doesn't have a good plot in it. As for the second point, my strong recommendation is to refrain from using cliches as much as possible. Because, well, for one, cliches are overused. Almost everybody uses them, and they don't often handle cliches in the right way. Cliches are often misused and just thrown around, and they have a very strong tendency to ruin plots if you don't use them right. Now, the last point, and this is also a very important point, make sure things make sense. Because even if you have a good plot, if it's full of plot holes, things that could be exploited openly, you're gonna find people complaining a lot about them. Like, you're gonna have people saying, well, what if things had happened this way? How did this actually happen? This shouldn't have made sense. If this had happened back then how is this happening now? That's the kind of thing you want to avoid with your book, right? You want to have explanations for almost everything. Unless you're actually trying to leave people on you know, a cliffhanger, well, that's a completely different story. But yeah, that's my strong advice on this point at least. Make sure your plot always makes sense. Now, an equally important aspect of your book is your characters. Just as how, even if you have good characters, you won't have a good plot, if you don't have good characters, no matter how good your plot is, it's not going to matter. Your characters need to be indulging. Like, they need to be really exciting people. The kind of people you'd want to see in real life, talk to, meet with, interact with, even if they're absolute jerks and you wouldn't actually want to talk with them. But they've got to be the kind of people who would actually interest you, right? And they've got to have multifaceted personalities. You can't just present one side of them, like making a character who's just really smart at everything or really good at everything he does. Or a character who's just humorous. That's literally the only thing about him. You want to make a character that people can actually talk a lot about, that you can actually talk a lot about, that you can present a lot of sides of, right? Because your characters, they need to draw people in. They need to be people that your readers can relate to, even if they haven't experienced the same things that your characters have. Well, that's all for now. I hope that was at least a little helpful with getting started on your plot and your characters. And if you like this video and would be interested in finding more about actually writing books in the further videos that will come up in this series, like this video, subscribe to our channel to stay updated, and we'll be coming back to you with more amazing content. Stay rad, everyone.